And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China. All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
They say, go see the African History Museum. Why do they start when the boats came? Why don't they start with the drums?
When we was kings.
Oh, they don't want it, but we are kings. But the 400 years doesn't have to deal with slavery. It has to deal with the Bible. It has to deal with us being disobedient to God. Us as 12 tribes of Judah, as a member of the Hebrew people, we are still inside of our genocide. 50% of all black deaths a year is abortion.
That's why you called Israel. Is it real? No, it's not. How did we leave there black and come back white? How did we leave there black and come back white? How did we leave there black and come back white? How did we leave there black and come back white? Can somebody answer that for me? Can somebody answer that for me? Can somebody answer that for me? Can somebody answer that for me?
I'm so glad you're here because you can bring great clarity. Can you tell us a little bit about the Sephardic Jews and how they were scattered because they went west?
I sure can.
Because the reason why I want to is because a lot of them, and a lot of people don't know this, are in the Caribbean.
They are.
In the islands.
And you're one of them. I know that.
I'm one of them.
I know that.
Because, you know, a lot of folk don't know that those roots are there. One of the first batches of slaves that came to Jamaica, they were the Sephardic Jews. It's documented.
And they're all over the Caribbean, South America, Central America, and even the South Central United States.
Wow.
And DNA testing is a factor in all this now.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
I want to say peace and blessings to everyone. I want to say Shalom Lak, Mash, Paka to others. Some of you guys will say Shalom. So I want to say peace and blessings to everyone that is catching this live tonight. Let me go ahead and put this banner up as we get set. I hope and pray that you guys had a great Shabbat. And so before we get started, let me go ahead and do some shout outs. I know I haven't been able to do it the last few sessions because of the detailed information that I shared. Bear with me 1 second here. So yeah, so let's go ahead and do some shout outs here before we get started, as others are joining in here. So let's go ahead and get started here. I want to say peace and blessings to Dut Wimbish. I want to say peace and blessings to you. Shirley Greer, I want to say peace and blessings to you. Shorna Hall, peace and blessings to you. Calvin Andrus, I want to say salama to you. Who else do we have here? Joy, I want to say peace and blessings to you, sis. I want to say peace and blessings to you. My brother, Elder Brandon Brunson, rather, excuse me. Really appreciate seeing you today at our Feast of Dedication. Really appreciate you. And thank the Most High for you and your family. All right. Let's see here. Davion Murphy, want to say peace and blessings to you. Shalom to you. Inspired Identity, peace and blessings to you. I got your message. I've been meaning to respond to you. I'll send you some information on what you requested in the back channel. So I got your email, and I will respond to it. Things have just been so hectic here, especially getting ready for preparing for the Feast of Dedication and a number of other things that we have on our plate. So I'll get that to you. Stay on Fire Ministry. I want to say peace and blessings to you. I praise Elohim every day. I want to say peace and blessings to you. Darnell, I want to say peace and blessings to you. My sister Ashonda at large, I want to say peace and blessings to you. Salama to you and everyone. Our sister Shonda is going to have a prayer, live prayer to intercede. The goal is to intercede for our people, because there's a lot of things that are going on, and I thank the Most High for her, because not many within the community really understand the importance of prayer, and she is having a prayer session on her channel, and I encourage you guys to subscribe to her channel. She's going to have it on January 14th. 9 p.m. Eastern time. So I really appreciate you, sis, and all that you do. So again, subscribe to our channel, Ashonda at large, and we're really going to use that opportunity to really pray and intercede for our community. All right. Just Reese, I want to say peace and blessings to you. Shalom to my sister Carol. Appreciate you, sis. So you know what to do with the moderating the comment section. So we may have some trolls because of this teaching here. So, but appreciate you, sis. Dwayne, I want to say peace and blessings to you, Dwayne Butler. Appreciate you, Ak. My sister, Dr. Newell, really appreciate you, sis. I want to say shalom to you as well. Appreciate you, sis. Who else do we have here? W.Y. Roy, him impalled, Yahweh Shai, Mashiach. Want to say shalom to you, peace and blessings to you. D Company, want to say peace and blessings to you. D Wimberly, peace and blessings to you. Leslie, Lizelle Lee, excuse me for pronouncing your name. Let's see here. Hinani, want to say peace and blessings to you. Let's see here. Calvin, want to say peace and blessings to you. Who else do we have here? Son of Yah, peace and blessings to you. Jasmine, blessings to you. My brother Robert, Saint Moon, want to say shalom to you as well. Who else do we have here? I know more jumping into the chat, so I'm going to try to get to as many as I can. Jason Philip McCauley, want to say peace and blessings to you. Let's see here. Terrence Maddox, truth to see. My sister Melissa, want to say peace and blessings to my sister right here. We miss you, Sister Melissa. We miss you here over at PFR. So look forward to scheduling the visit real soon. But again, appreciate you, sis. And tell hubby I said hi. Brother Jerry, I said hi. All right. Sissy Yvette Riviera, or want to say shalom to you. Yasha KB, peace and blessings to you. Who else do we have here? Let's see. Boom Church. Want to say peace and blessings to my cousin, Apostle Majors, and guys, let's support our brother, our Ak. He got an album that he just released. Let's support him. We're going to have him on here. We're going to schedule it. Hopefully, we'll be able to do it this upcoming week, so that way we can have a listening party here on We Woke Now to support the work that Apostle Williams is doing out at Boom. Really appreciate you, cuz. Brother Bryant, peace and blessings to you. Jennifer, Sister Jennifer, peace and blessings to you. Just Reese, who else do we have here? Enosh Ben Israel. Who else do we have here? Mike Harris, peace and blessings to you. And let's see. Israelite wife Desiree, want to say shalom to you. And I think we covered it. Chris Matthews, want to say peace and blessings to you. And I have to go old school. If I missed you, if I did not catch your name here because the chat's starting to pick up. If I didn't pronounce your name, or if I didn't mention you or give you a shout out, I got to go old school, like my grandmother would say. Charge it to my head, not to my heart. All right. Really appreciate you guys. Shebrew Light, Tiffany Moore, Cool J, Dr. KT. And there we go. We're going to go ahead and get ready to get started. But I just wanted to do this lesson here. And I want to kind of lay out the overall narrative here for this session that we're about to get into. All right. I want to, let's see here. Saint Moon, and been having a problem, Pastor. Can you pronounce the name of the Father and Son? You're the linguist I trust, right? The Father, Yahweh, Son, Yahweh Shai, and send me an email and I'll send you some information. And also, I have a couple of videos that's on this channel, Hebrew 101, that actually walks you through, really give you source upon sources about the name of the Most High. And I really provide the sources. So I appreciate you, Saint Moon. Appreciate you, brother. All right. So Angie Love, appreciate you, sis. Holding it down with the moderators. Really appreciate you. All right. So let's set the tone here. Now, this lesson, I want to make it clear. The lesson is not about responding to anyone or taking shots at anyone. This is just foundational teaching right here. Because one thing I will say that we as a people, we have to get away from is stirring up, right? Instigating things, right? So this lesson has nothing to do with anyone else. Now, I have been getting flooded and getting tagged into Facebook posts about chicken being off limits, and not just chicken, but other meats and, as far as lamb and all this other stuff. We're going to deal with that tonight. But I want to make this clear. This lesson is not a response to anyone. This is to give proper clarity. In this lesson, I did this lesson years ago, right? My cousin from Boom, Bishop Brown, he and I did this lesson, a series of lessons, literally years ago when there was a big push trying to say chicken is off limits. So I want to make that clear. This is not a jab at anyone. This is a reteaching. I cleaned up the presentation so it looks more up to date, but it's the exact same presentation. All right. So I want to make this clear, family. Let's not get into the spirit of that King Saul had to deal with when it came to David. If you really read the text, right, what really set King Saul off about David was the people singing praises. Here it is, King Saul, King David, and all the army are coming back, celebrating, returning home, having a parade, celebrating the slaying of Goliath, celebrating victory. And so the women began to sing praises of King Saul. Saul killed his thousands, but then other women began to jump in and say, hey, well, David killed his 10,000s. And so if you read the scripture from that point on, King Saul's spirit changed. It shifted. So let's be careful, family, of how we try, how we can indirectly instigate situations. If I'm doing a teaching and I've done a teaching here, don't go to another teacher and say, well, hey, Pastor Kelly taught this over here. Don't put that teacher in a bad position to where as though now they have to try to articulate themselves so it doesn't sound like they're trying to take shots at me. When actually, unfortunately, sometimes we can indirectly put leaders in a bad position. And that's happened to me a number of times. And I had to literally correct the individuals that way. All right. So this is not about throwing shots at anyone. All right. So I want to make that clear. All right. The next thing I want to do is just kind of, address one quick thing, especially when we're dealing with the comment section, when I make posts. I know we always had those group of individuals, no matter what you post, they always have a but in it, right? They always got to have a but, right? We the people of the book, but, we need salvation. You need to be teaching salvation. Family, look, go back over the videos and see what we teach here. It's all about salvation. You always have that but being inserted in everything that we do. No matter what I post, it's always a but. So this is kind of the mindset that I kind of been in, let me show you. This is where I've been at. This is my response. Whenever I hear someone posting a but, here it is. All right. So that's the mode that I'm in. I just don't care about the buts right now. Right. Don't care about the buts. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it focused. Let's keep it on target, because think about it. When you posting things, especially on someone's channel, and they have a wealth of information and they're teaching, we don't need people to constantly go behind them saying, but, that kind of get up under my skin a little bit. So I just thought I'd share that. That's my thought. I've been in that mode for a little while. Like, who is this person speaking to me like I needed their advice? So that's from Braveheart, right? You guys know that I'm a geek. So, I know I still have my trash can because I wanted to throw some things inside this trash can. Some of the things that we see, especially when I see those butts there. I want to do this to them. All right. So, but let's go ahead and get started here. Let's go ahead and get into this lesson because we got a lot to cover, family. We have a lot to cover. So we're going to start off with this here. Right. We're going to start off with this here. And I'm not sure if you guys can hear the audio. If you can hear the audio, type 1. But if you can't, I'm just going to share the narrative. I'm just going to explain what you see on the screen. Years ago, certain groups within our community began to teach and was really pushing hard against those that eat chicken. And they were using this video to say, look, see the chicken is eating a snake. That, hey, you're not supposed to eat chicken. A chicken is unclean. So this is a popular video that's been circulating years ago. And we're going to address this. We want to really give proper clarity throughout this. And by the time we conclude this lesson, you're going to have full clarity on what's what. All right. So this is a chicken that's going to eat a snake, a small snake. All right. So that's what you see here inside this video. All right. So we're going to fast forward for the sake of time. This video is about 3 or 4 minutes. But for the sake of time, let's go ahead and address a couple of things real quick. I'm going to just set the tone right now. Let's start with going to Leviticus chapter 11, verse 20 through 22. Right? It says, and fowls that creep going upon all four shall be an abomination to you. Yet these may ye eat of every flying creeping thing that goeth upon all four, which have legs above their feet, to leap withal upon the earth. Now I'm going to give you proper clarity on this verse right here, especially verse 20, because this is the verse that many are using to say that chicken is off limits. This is the verse 20, but I'm going to give you clarity here as we move forward. But I want to just set this tone right now, right off the back, right? This is another thing that I want to share, right? Chicken feet versus quail feet, right? Chicken feet versus quail feet. But nevertheless, they'll have numbers here on some of the images that are circulating. They'll point out, hey, look, this is four. This is four fingers here, right? Look, it's four. He's standing on four toes, right? The quail and the chicken, guess what? They have the exact same amount of toes, no matter how you slice and dice it. Let me show you another image of a quail, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Feet look just like chicken feet, and I'm going to explain why, okay? But let's go back here. Let's look at the Hebrew definition for fowls, all right? Awap, right? Notice what it says. A bird, right? Bird that flieth, flying, fowl. But I want you to pay attention to the in-depth definition here. Notice what it says. Flying creatures, fowl, insects, birds, winged insects, right? That's what it means, right? Let me go back here. I thought I put the whole entire verses here. Yeah, I think I didn't put verse 22. Let me add verse 22 so that way I can give you proper clarity before we move forward, because verse 22 is going to put that entire text in its proper context. It's not saying what people are making it out to be. It's actually dealing with insects. It has nothing to do with birds in that particular text, because that word fowl can be used towards birds, but it can also be used towards flying insects. So let me put verse 22 up so that way you guys can, you can have it on your screen and you can make a note of it as well. So let me put verse 22 up real quick. Let's see here. It's always something that I miss and overlook. I thought I had it in here, but let's put it in here. All right. So that way you guys can follow along. And I believe in having my, having scripture. If I'm going to make reference to a scripture, I want to make sure that it's up so you can see. All right. Let's see. Here we go. All right. Putting verse 22 inside the presentation. Here we go. All right, so let's go back here. All right, there we go. Let me see if it came up here. All right, so let's go ahead and try it again. That's verse 21, right? Matter of fact, I'll start with verse 20. All fowls that creep going upon all four shall be an abomination to you. Yet these may ye eat of every flying creeping thing that goeth upon all four. That's key, flying creeping thing, right? All fowls that creep going upon all four shall be an abomination to you. Yet these may ye eat of every flying creeping thing that goeth upon all four. So it's saying, it's going to say, what this is laying out is like what not to eat, but it's going to share what out of the insects in this, starting at verse 20 to verse 21, what insects that you can eat. That's what this text is saying, starting at verse 20, because prior to that, we're dealing with the birds, right? So verse 21, yet these may ye eat of every flying creeping thing that goeth upon all four, which have legs above their feet, to leap withal upon the earth. Verse 22, to confirm it, right? Even these of them ye may eat. Locust after his kind, the ball locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind. So when we see fowl inside the particular text, let's go back here just so that way you can see it. all fowls, because we already dealt with the birds. Now this is setting you up dealing with the insects that, as you see here, creep going on all four, right? They fly, insects with wings. Let me prove it to you. Let's go back to the definition here. Let's fast forward, right? As you see here, flying creatures, fowl, insects, birds. In the sub entry here, you see fowl, birds, but look at this, winged insects. All right, winged insects. So we have to make sure that when we sharing, when we teaching, we have to put things in this proper context. We cannot pick and choose exactly what we want to, how can I put it, what we're trying to force, right? We're trying to superimpose, or should we say eisegete, in other words, inserting what we want to insert into the text. So we see that when you see the word fowl, right, you can see clearly, right, you're dealing with birds and insects that fly. The first portion, and we're going to get to those verses, we're dealing with birds, and then when we get to this point of the text that I highlighted, we're dealing with flying insects. So again, when you see that verse 20, let me pull it right back up here, just so that way you guys understand, and then we'll move right on. Let's pull it back up, right? Let's pull it back up. All fowls that creep, that's key. All fowls that creep going upon all four shall be an abomination unto you. Yet these may ye eat of every flying creeping thing that goeth upon all four, which have legs above their feet to leap withal upon the earth. Makes me think of what you call it, a praying mantis. But anyway, even these of them ye may eat. The locust. So it's telling you what not to eat, what flying insects that you cannot eat, that's off limits. But also these are the insects it's telling you that you are allowed to eat. Okay. So let's go ahead and fast forward here. Let's get back to where we were. So let's deal with some of our objectives for the presentation tonight. We're going to define what a bird of prey is. We're going to make sure you have clarity on birds of prey, right? We also want to make sure you understand what a quail is, what a chicken is. I'm going to answer the question, is the chicken a bird of prey? All right. In other words, are you fearful to have your cat outside or your dog outside or whatever outside, and you fearing that a chicken is going to come and swoop in and scoop them up? Is a chicken a bird of prey? We're going to answer that question. Is the chicken an unclean bird? Is the chicken an unclean bird? So what is a bird of prey? What is a bird of prey? And we're also going to cover kind of killing two birds with one stone. We're going to also answer the question of why, in terms of dealing with the ark. How was Noah able to fit all of these animals into the ark? That used to be one of those catechism questions, right? So to speak, like the conscious community, right? When I would go out and do evangelism, they would ask me that question as if it was like an aha moment. How was the Most High? You saying that the ark really existed? How was your God able to fit all these animals in there? You got millions of animals. How was they able to squeeze all of these animals into this ark? I'm going to answer that question. All right. That's another thing we're going to answer here. Okay. But I want to start with a key prophecy. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1 through 3. Right. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith. Right? Depart. In other words, they were in the faith. Faith, aman, means consistent, right? It means trust. It means believe. It means permanent, but also it means to go to the right hand. So that word aman, that Hebrew word aman, wherever you see faith, wherever you see truth, wherever you see trust, that's the Hebrew word. And you guys have said amen a lot, right? If you grew up in the church, you said amen. And what you actually saying to that leader or whoever is speaking, when you say amen, or amen is the Greek, amen is Hebrew, ancient Hebrew, you're telling them you're going to be, you're confirming that they say it's true. You're going to be faithful. You're going to be consistent with whatever they say. So you have to be careful who you give your amens or amens to. All right. But nevertheless, this is what this is saying. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron, right? Hypocrisy, or, when we start looking at a hypocrite, right? I like to use the play on words like a hypocritic, right? A hypocrite, hypocritic, who's not qualified to judge anyone. Because to be a judge in Israel, you had to be qualified. You had to be knowledgeable of the law, statutes, and commandments. So if you're not knowledgeable about the law, statutes, and commandments, you can't hold someone or pass judgment on anyone, because you don't know that you don't understand the law, statutes, and commandments. See, the judges were set aside for a specific reason, because they understood, they were astute in the law. So they were professionals, right? Just like when you look at movie critics, they are professionals who go over these movies, who give their thoughts and share their opinions, and they literally critique these movies. They're professionals that does that. So a hypocrite is someone that literally is not a professional, that's not astute in the things of the Most High, and then they're trying to pass judgment. But anyway, but here's the kicker. It says, forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from meats. Now, when we look at forbidding to marry, we'll automatically think, or our minds will default to the Roman Catholic Church, because they do forbid to, their priests, not to marry. But then they also call fast and things along that line. And, with here, we can also apply that to some of our brothers and sisters in this truth. Many of them are coming up with all kinds of crazy doctrine about marriage, writing notes saying you don't need to go through a proper system to enter into an agreement. So now they just writing a glorified love letter, right? It just to seduce women. And then once they get what they want, then they dump them. That's not how Israel did their marriages. Fact, right? But anyway, but then commanding to abstain from meats. And we have to be careful. If we're not careful, we can get caught up into this this prophecy right here, right? And I want to say this to my brothers and sisters that are choosing to be vegans and all that. You choosing to give up meat. Look, go for it if that's what you choose. But don't try to force me, try to make me feel guilty that I choose not to give up meats. Right now, we know in this text, Paul is not saying that the Most High is saying that all meats we can consume, because the Most High has given us a criteria. He's given us instructions. He's given us the what many have labeled to be the dietary laws on what meats that we are to eat. But again, we have to be careful. If you're not careful, you could fall right into this prophecy right here that Paul had warned about. When you saying that, for example, you are a vegan and now you're trying to get me to stop eating meat. See, I can easily debunk that right off the bat, because if the Most High had a problem with us eating meats, he would not have met with Abraham. Remember, in Genesis, the Most High came and visited Abraham with some of his, a couple of angels. And guess what? Abraham went and got a calf, cooked that bad boy, right? And came and gave it to the Most High. And the Most High didn't say, no, Abraham, you're not supposed to eat me. No, the Most High sat down and ate with Abraham. So if the Most High had a problem with us eating meats, he would have stopped Abraham right there and corrected him, right? And you'll see the tetragrammaton in the ancient Hebrew, the Yahweh, some would say Yohe-Wahe. You'll see the Most High's name there, not Adonai or Adonai. You're not going to see that there. It's his name. So he came and he sat down and ate with Abraham, right? The other thing that I hear people take out of context, right, is Noah. When the Most High handed the covenant to Noah, They'll say, well, hey, at that point, Noah was able to eat all, or they was able to eat pork, all this other stuff. That's not correct, because you're not approaching the text like how you should from a perspective of when we look at Torah. If you come across, for example, when you read about Noah, when it said his son saw the nakedness of his wife. Well, you have to go to Leviticus 19 to understand what that means, because the Torah is a dictionary for you to be able to understand the different terms that you will find in different sections. Not just this thing of trying to go in a chronological order, but guess what? It's a source to really get better understanding. So when we get to that text, no, the dietary laws, the laws was what to eat and what not to eat, was clean and unclean, was already laid out. Because my response to them is like, okay, if you're saying that the Most High said, hey, Noah, you could eat of everything, even the stuff that we set aside to be unclean. So go to Genesis chapter 1, when it said that, hey, we could eat, the plants, we could eat all the vegetation that, that in a nutshell bring forth seed. Well, does that include poison ivy? Does that include snake berries? Does that include some of the poisonous plants out there? Family, this is where we have to stop majoring in the minors. So again, if you choose not to eat meat, that's fine. But don't try to force me to join you, because guess what? I'm going to eat my lamb. I'm not giving up my lamb. I'm not giving up the lamb. I just can't do it. Not doing it. Right? There was an old hip hop song, not going to be able to do it back in the 90s. I'm not going to be able to do it. But anyway, just wanted to give clarity. So this text right here is not saying you could go out and eat pork. No, the laws are already in place. So I want to make that clear. Okay. So let's fast forward. Let's continue here. All right. So is the chicken an unclean bird? That's what we need to answer. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 11, verse 13. Now the Spirit speaking. Hey, man, what I do here? I got to fix my slide here. All right. Man, I don't know what I was thinking of. I've been messing up my slides all day. I don't know what's going on here. All right. Let me fix this real quick. Right. You guys know I'm very meticulous when it comes to my presentation. So I like things to be a certain way. So let me fix it real quick. All right, there we go. I just fixed it. All right. So verse 13, and these are the things which ye shall have in abomination among the fowls. Remember, fowls. This now in these set of verses that we're going to highlight, we're dealing with birds, right? Once we get down to verse 20, we're dealing with insects. So remember that word fowl, as you see here, awap, right? That means insect. Well, birds that fly, birds with wings. Of course, birds have wings anyway. But then it's also referring to insects with wings. Insects with wings, but birds and insects with wings. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination. You notice what you see: the eagle, the ossifrage, right? The osprey. And we're going to explain these terms here. So abomination, right? We see abomination here. What does abomination mean in this text, right? Abomination. These are what? To be filthy. These are things that's not good for your body. It's going to pollute your body. These things are made abominable, right? This test, but the key is filthy. So the scriptures are telling us, do not eat these filthy set of birds right here. Do not eat these birds, right? So let's go into it. Let's deal with each one of the birds. And this is going to be very in depth. So let's deal with starting with fowl. So in layman terms, right, these are filthy and polluted among the fowls. In other words, the birds, right? Those that fly, feathers. These group of birds are filthy. These group of birds are polluted, right? They're not good for our bodies. That's what the scripture is saying. So let's go back to fowl. So that way we make sure we're on the same page. It says here, bird that flieth, flying, fowl. But in the in-depth definition of this word, you'll see winged insects, right? And I'll pull it up in the background here. Fowl birds, but notice what you see here. Insects, but winged insects. Insects with wings. So that word fowl right here, this is the Israeli pronunciation, oof, right? And, the kumlat being over the wa, this being used as a vowel letter anyway. So, but nevertheless, we see that, again, this word can be used for birds, but it also can be used for winged insects. Okay. So that's why we see winged insects, right? Birds, right? But also winged insects. So let's go further. Let's go to the primitive root word of this word fowl, right? To cover, to fly, to faint. All right. That's just giving us more information on that. But nevertheless, fowl means a bird as covered with feathers or covering with wings, but it also means insects with wings. So let's start with the scientific classification of birds, and then we'll tie all of this together, right? So birds, right? Bird names. Now notice what it says here. We're gonna tie all of this together. Bird groups are organized by scientific classification based upon their anatomical structure. Let me say that again: anatomical structure, geographic distribution, behavior, blood proteins, and variety of other characteristics. Most recently, and probably most accurately, DNA hybridization has determined the relationships and supposed evolutionary history of all the bird groups of the world, and most of the species. And it tells us where to go at to learn more about this. All right, but when we start getting into ornithology, it says that birds are grouped or organized by classifications, scientific classifications. All right. So what is scientific classifications? What does that mean? Right. I'm going to show you what scientific classifications mean according to the Torah. So let's go to Genesis chapter 6, verse 20. And I'm going to answer the question about how was Noah able to squeeze all these animals inside the ark. Notice what it says, right? Notice what it says. Genesis chapter 6, verse 20. Of fowls after their kind, right? After their kind, right? Mayam, after their kind. And of cattle after their kind. Of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind. Two of every sort shall come unto thee to keep them alive. So we notice some key words here. And the key is after their kind when we start dealing with scientific groups. Okay, so let's look at the Hebrew word for kind, right? Mayan. All right, let's see what it says. Right, and the Israeli language is mean, but we're dealing with ancient Hebrew. It says here to portion out a sort, species, right? Sometimes a species. So we're going to deal with that. So when we look at this, right, when we look at Noah's Ark, right, we're dealing with species, but now we're going to take it a step further when we deal with the word kind. Okay. So by this definition, a new species is not a new kind. Let me say that again. By definition, a new species. So you can have a kind. For example, elephants is after a kind, but within the elephant group, you can have different species of elephants. The elephants in, let's just say, India are different from the elephants when you start getting into the Serengeti, when you start getting into certain parts of Africa. Certain animals like the gorillas that are in the Congos are going to be different from the gorillas that's in, let's just say, in South America. Right, because of the landscaping is going to make a world of a difference on their genetics as far as how their build is. So they're still gorillas, but guess what? Now we're dealing with different species of gorillas, right? But it's still one kind. Those species is still part of what? Kind, right? Just like we see all these dogs, right? You got so many different breeds, species of dogs, but it's still after its kind. So when Noah filled the ark, he was filling animals after their what? Kind. It wasn't every species that you see that we see today. It was after its kind, right? Because when we get to there, we would go back to that time. It wasn't the amount of species that we see today that have developed today. So that's how Noah was able to what? Fit these animals there, because he didn't have different species of elephants. He had what? Like we say in Hebrew, primitive root, he had what? The top, he had the top of the line, or should I say the originals for the most part of that time, right? The original elephants, right? It wasn't species of elephants, the original elephant, the original gorillas, whatever is the primitive or the origin of that particular what? Kind. All right. So I want to make that clear. So this is what we have to understand. When you see that word kind, you can have different species within what? A kind. Let me say that again. You can have different species, but they're going to be what? Within a kind, right? And we're going to touch on that. We're going to touch on that. We're going to break that down even more. So let's go back to Leviticus chapter 13. Now notice what it says. And these are they which ye shall have an abomination, right? We see among the fowls, they shall not be eaten. They are what? An abomination. And notice what we see, eagle, right? Nashar, right? We know eagles are what? There's a lot of species of eagles, but there's a certain kind. We know that when we get to ossifrage, we know that parrots, we know that there's a lot of different types, but we'll deal with it. We'll deal one by one. Let me not get ahead of myself. But I just want you guys to understand that when we say kind, right, you can have species, but they still can be the same kind. All right. So let's deal with eagle. Notice what it says: to lacerate, right? The eagle, and we see eagle, vulture, griffin, vulture. So we're still dealing with kind, right? It says here, large bird of prey, other large bird of prey, eagle, right? We're still dealing with a certain type of birds after their kind, after its kind. Okay. So eagle, nashar means to lacerate. So nashar means large bird, eagle, vulture, griffin, vulture, but they're still part of what? The same kind. All right. So let's go to the Britannica and let's look at the history of the eagle, right? Because we still have different species, right? Under what? The same kind. We have different species of eagles. We have different species of the griffin. We have different species, and we're going to break this down, but they're still part of what? After a certain kind, right? So let's deal with the eagle. Now, I want to make it clear here, family. I'm not going to butcher these names, because this is not my area. So I'm not going to butcher these names. So you guys bear with me. If I skip over some of these names, I'm not butchering these names. All right. So when we look at here, it says, it says eagles, any of many large, heavy beaked, big footed birds of prey. Notice what it says. It's giving you a description. Heavy, a large, heavy beaked, right? Right. A chicken is not heavy beaked, right? A chicken doesn't have big foot, right? But notice what it says. Large, heavy beaked, big footed birds of prey. Make it clear. That's what we're dealing with. The eagles. They are what? Have large beaks, right? And they have big foots that with talons on it, and they are what? Birds of prey. Okay. It goes on to say, an eagle may resemble a vulture in build and flight characteristics, but has a fully feathered, often crested head and strong feet equipped with great curved talons. So now we're seeing the difference between an eagle, right, as it just gave us, when it says, but as far as the eagle and the vulture, eagles may resemble a vulture in build and flight characteristics, how they fly, but has a fully feathered, often crested head. So they have feathers on their head, but a vulture doesn't, right? Strong feet equipped with great curved talons. A further difference is in foraging habits. Eagles subsist mainly on live prey, right? So again, an eagle is a bird of prey, let's deal with the ossifrage, right? They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination. The ossifrage. The Hebrew definition of ossifrage. It says a kind of eagle. Notice what it says. A kind of eagle, right? But it says perhaps an extinct animal. But it says a kind of eagle, claw, ossifrage. And when you look at it here in the back, it says here, again, just what I highlighted, bird of prey, right? Perhaps an extinct animal, exact meaning unknown. But we see here it's falling right up under birds of prey, right? Then we see here, they shall not be eaten. They are an abomination, the osprey. This is another group here, the osprey. Let's see what it says here. It says the sea eagle, right? We still see it's still part of what? The eagles, these big birds, but it says the sea eagle, osprey, right? Osprey, black eagle, buzzard. So the Britannica history of the osprey, this is what it says, right? Osprey, also called fish hawk, large, long-winged hawk, right? About 65 centimeters, in other words, 26 inches long, that lives along sea coast and larger interior waters. Where it catches fish, it is brown above and white below. All right, so just giving you more information and some of the things that identifies the ospreys, which again, though these are eagles that hunt in the water. They go into the water, they dip into the water, they dive into the water. So as you see here, an osprey flies over the water to hunt. It hovers above its prey and then plunges feet first to seize a fish in its long curved talons. All right, so this is giving you an understanding of, again, an osprey, and it tells you what family it's from. Like I said, I'm not going to butcher the names here. So again, want to reiterate this point. Sometimes considered a subfamily of the hawk and eagle family. So an osprey is a bird of prey. Verse 14 of Leviticus. It says, and the vulture, right? The or the and the kite, ayah, after his kind, mayana, right? Or my na, however you want to pronounce it. But anyway, but the vulture, the kite, and notice what it says, after his kind. Okay, so let's deal with vulture. Hebrew definition of vulture. It says the kite, vulture. But notice what it says here, bird of prey. Fast flying bird of prey. That's what it's giving us, another distinction here. It's a fast flying bird of prey. All right, so we're dealing with these birds. We're breaking down each bird in this text so that way you guys get proper understanding that a chicken does not fall along these lines. All right, so let's go to the Britannica history of the vulture. Notice what it says. Vulture, any of 22 what? Species, still part of the same what? Kind, but it says 22 species of large carrion eating birds that live predominantly in the tropics and subtropics. The 7 species of New World vultures include condors, and the 15 Old World species included lammergeier and griffins. All right, but it goes on to say that I want to highlight here. It says all the New World vultures and some of the Old World vultures have bare heads. Remember, bare heads. That's a distinction. A condition that prevents feathers from matting with blood when these birds reach inside carcasses. So they eat dead animals. All right. So going back to a key quote, they shall not be eaten. They are an abomination. Now we're going to deal with the kite, right? Azah, what is a kite, right? Notice what it says, the screamer, an example of a hawk, vulture, right? That's what a kite is. I don't think I put the actual Hebrew definition up here, but this is what it simply is. Screamer, example, a hawk, vulture. But let's go to the Britannica and see what it says. Kite, any numerous birds of prey belonging to one of the 3 subfamilies. And it lists the subfamilies. Typically, a kite is lightly built with a small head. So it's giving us, a description of a kite. So a kite is a bird of prey. Let's go back to Leviticus chapter 15, right? We're going line by line with these birds, right? So we see the vulture, the kite after his kind, every raven after his kind. So we have different kinds of ravens. All right. So far, every bird mentioned, with the exception of the raven, are called raptors. Let me say that again. Every bird that we mentioned, with the exception of the raven or ravan, however you want to pronounce it, right? They are what? Called raptors. Right. So let me give you some additional information on raptors. The characteristics of a raptor. And we know that chicken does not fall up under a raven. Okay, so the characteristics of a raptor starts with its hooked beak, right? Let me say that again. The characteristics of a raptor starts with its hooked beak. All right. So this is coming from, I did put the Idaho National Laboratory, right? Facts. What makes a bird a raptor? What makes a bird a raptor? And this is going to give you more information on what makes a bird a raptor. Notice what it says. A raptor's beak is one feature used to set them apart from other birds. All raptors have the same beak design, curved at the tip with sharp cutting edges to tear apart prey that will easily fit into the mouth. The beaks have evolved over time based on the type of prey eaten. For example, the American kestrel, kestrel has a small beak for eating small prey like mice and insects. Eagles have powerful, heavy beaks for tearing large pieces of meat, but snail kites have a highly specialized long curved beak for probing inside snail shells. All right. And this is the kite that we're referring to. Notice the beak. It still almost looks like what? An eagle, a smaller version of what we see of eagles of its kind. But notice what you see. The beak. This is what it's referring to. All right. So another characteristic of raptors is their sharp talons, right? Sharp talons. So sharp talons, leg feet. Birds of prey have powerful legs, toe muscles that when combined with sharp talons make their feet lethal weapons. In other words, well, it doesn't, it gives an example looking at the activity sheet, but goes on to say perfectly designed to catch, hold, and prey. The length and size of a raptor's toe and the curvature and thickness of its talons are related to the type of prey it pursues. Most birds of prey will have 3 toes pointing forward and one pointing backward. These toes can apply an extremely powerful grip on their prey. Now, we know that a chicken does not have talons. We know that they do not have talons, right? Literally crushing it to death. The talons may also be used to pierce a vulnerable spot, such as the back of the neck, to quickly kill the prey. Eagles and hawks kill their prey by dislocating the neck. Ospreys have 2 toes facing forward and 2 facing backwards. This allowed them to hold the fish they catch with 4 claws, 2 on each side for a secure grip. Ospreys also have spiny scales on their feet that help them hold the slippery fish more securely. Owls have 4 toes. However, one of the toes is very flexible and can rotate forward or backward for not getting into all of that. All right. So also, raptors have excellent eyesight, right? These are not raptors right here, right? Big difference, right? So raptors also have excellent eyesight, right? Raptors are believed to have the keenest eyesight in nature because of the size of the eyeball and the eye muscles designed for rapid focus, right? Diurnal raptors have full color vision and 2 concentrations of cones, right? In each eye, which controls the color perception. The sharpest point of vision at these concentrations is called the fovea. When the fovea works in unison, they give raptors accurate depth perception, which is very important for birds of prey. All right, so let's give you some examples of raptors, the raptors of Israel. Let me give you some images of the raptors of Israel. birds of Israel, raptors, right? Here's some of the raptors there. Here's some of the birds of prey there. Short-toed eagle, griffin, the vulture, right? You see the differences, like we were sharing about the head, right? Vultures versus the head of an eagle, but short-toed eagle, griffin, vultures. Here's some additional ones. The red-footed falcon, the osprey. These are birds that are in Israel. I want you to see birds in Israel, right? So that way you could get a visual of what we're describing, what the scriptures are saying, right? Notice here, black kite still looks like what? Part of the eagle family of its kind, remember? Egyptian vulture. All right, so let's go back to Leviticus chapter 11. Let's go to verse 16 again, right? It says, and the owl and the nighthawk and the cuckoo, right? Or cuckoo, however you want to pronounce it, and the hawk after its kind. So let's deal with the nighthawk, right? Nighthawk. It says here, a species of unclean birds, perhaps an owl nighthawk, ceremonial unclean. All right. So let's go to the Easton Bible Dictionary, 1894. Let's get a definition or understanding of a nighthawk. It says, right? Nighthawk occurs only in the list of unclean birds. This was supposed to be the nightjar allied to the swifts. The Hebrew word is derived from a root meaning to scratch or tear the face, and may be the best rendered in accordance with the ancient versions, an owl, strix flamea, right? And this is where you can start getting into what's the owl? Now I can't think of the name of her name. Isaiah talks about her too. I can't think of her name right now, but anyway, in accordance with the ancient versions, an owl. All right. So the birds of prey of Israel. Let's deal with some more raptors. Let's deal with some additional raptors. Let me give you some additional images of some of the raptors here. Right. We see the strided scops owl, right? The strided scops owl, we see it here. The eagle owl, right? And you see the features of them. So again, going back to this text, we dealt with the owl, we dealt with the nighthawk. Now we're going to deal with the cuckoo, right? Or cuckoo, right? So, right, let's deal with the cuckoo, right? Still a bird of prey, but let's deal with the cuckoo, right? Doesn't look as dangerous as the rest of them, but there's something interesting about a cuckoo, right? A cuckoo bird, right? That's right, Lilith. That's it, Lilith. Appreciate it, Rose Tally. That's what I was thinking of, Lilith. I couldn't remember her name. All right, Lilith. All right. So let's deal with the cuckoo bird, right? This is interesting about the cuckoo bird, right? The cuckoo, any of numerous birds of the family of Cuckooladae or Cuckooladae, however you want to pronounce it. But notice it says that there's a number of species within this family, right? But this is what's interesting about the cuckoo bird. In Western Europe, cuckoo without modifiers refers to the most common local form, right? Elsewhere called the common or European cuckoo, right? But you see here some of the different names, the specialized names. Interesting, roadrunner, right? Still part of the cuckoo bird. But here's an interesting characteristic of it. Notice here it says the attribute for which the cuckoos are best known is the habit of broad parasitism. Well, what does that mean? What broad parasitism? This is what it's going to give you the definition of what that is. It consists of laying the eggs singly in the nest of certain other bird species to be incubated by the foster parents who rear the young cuckoo. And I saw videos on this. It was interesting. It was like, wow. So they basically take their eggs, lay it inside somebody else's nest, right? And let that bird care for their own egg. They don't even care for their own offspring, which is interesting. Okay. So let's go to the Eastern Bible Dictionary. Let's define this word here. Let's see what it says, right? to be lean, right? Slender. And it gives more information on there, right? As far as mentioning in Leviticus 11:16 and Deuteronomy 14:15. So it gives us additional information here. But, I want to highlight here seagull, right? When you also look at a cuckoo bird, seagull, right? Sea mule. But it says it is found in Asia and Africa as well as Europe. It only passes the winter in Palestine. Okay, so the Hebrew definition of cuckoo, it says this: to peel, emaciate, the gull, as in other words, thin, cuckoo. But we see a ceremonial unclean bird, seagull. Let's go back here to the Israel birding website, right? And this is an image of the cuckoo over the great spotted cuckoo over in Israel. So let's deal with the quail. All right, let's deal with the quail now as we progress here. I know I'm going a little geek mode here, but let's deal with the quail now. All right, let's deal with quails. Let's deal with defining what a chicken is. Is the chicken a bird of prey? Right? I'm going to ask you guys that question. Is a chicken a bird of prey? Like when you take your dog out, right? You let your dog sit on the porch, or you have a cat, whatever you may have. Are you fearful of a chicken? Are you fearful that the chicken may swoop down and get you, or get your child? Are you fearful of that chicken? Is a chicken a bird of prey? Is the chicken an unclean bird? We're going to explain this. So let's start with understanding a quail. Let's go to Numbers chapter 11, verse 31. Right? It says this: and there went forth a wind, rawak, from Yahweh, and brought quails, shalah, right, from the sea, hayam, and let them fall by the camp, as it were a day's journey on this side. All right, but I'm just going to highlight the first portion of it. And there went forth a wind from Yahweh and brought forth quails from the sea, right? Yam, brought quails from the sea. So he brought quails from the sea. This is a miracle. This is miraculous right here, if you really study the text. So a wind from Yahweh brought quails from the sea, shalah, quails from the sea. So this is describing a migration, a quail migration. But I want y'all to pay attention to this right here, right? I want y'all to really pay attention to this, right? August marks the start of the annual migration of millions of birds from their European breeding areas to their wintering grounds in Africa. Many will fly across the Mediterranean towards Egypt, where they will land exhausted on a coast along which hundreds of kilometers of trappers' nets have been spanned to create almost unbroken walls of death on the seaside dunes. These nets will catch at least 150 million birds this year, according to one biologist's estimate. More than 1 in 20 of the migrant birds leaving Europe for Africa, right? So what is a quail? So I'm giving you some information that even scientifically acknowledges that quails fly through that part of the world, right? Especially when we start dealing with Israel coming out of Egypt. So what is a quail? And we're going to circle back to that when we get towards the end of this presentation. So a quail, any of roughly 130 species of small short-tailed game birds classified as I'm not even going to butcher you. I believe it says Phasianidae, right? I'm not going to, I told you guys I'm not butchering these, but you get the gist of it, right? So pay attention to this word here. Pay attention to this word. I'm not butchering these words, right? Galliforms, order of galliforms. But notice what it says: resembling partridges, but generally smaller and less robust. The 95 species of old world quail are classified, and quail prefer open country, bushy borders. In spring, the hen lays about 12 roundish eggs, which the male may help incubate. The young remain with their parents the first summer. Quail eats mainly seeds and berries, but also take leaves, roots, and some insects. Their flesh is considered a delicacy as their eggs. So the Hebrew definition of quail, shalah, let's see what it says. Right? It says the quail collectively, right? Orthographically variations, right? But it says through the idea of sluggishness, right? The quails collectively as slow in flight from its weight. So that's the key characteristics because they're slow, right? Because of their weight, right? Their weight. When you look at the quail, like the chicken, they have weight, but they're the smaller of the class of when we start dealing with poultry. Anyway, so quail means sluggish, slow in flight. And let's go to the Eastern Bible Dictionary to define quail. It says the Israelites were twice relieved in their privation by a miraculous supply of quails. And it gives you the information on here. But it says here, rained flesh upon them as dust and feathered fowls like as the sands of the sea. So it's just giving you clarity on this migration that we just read about. This was the miraculous thing about this was an untimely migration that the Most High implemented to make sure that Israel was taken care of. So the quails flew at this height and were easily killed or caught by hand, right? So again, being thus secure in vast numbers by the people, they spread them all abroad in order to salt and dry them, all right? So the birds are found in the countless number on the shores of the Mediterranean, which we just touched on. And their annual migration is an event causing great excitement, just what I highlighted from that article I mentioned. So what is a chicken? We're going to tie all of this together. What is a chicken, right? It says here, any of more than 60 breed of medium-sized poultry. So understand there's different groups of poultry, but it's still what? Of its kind. The chicken is like the medium size. The turkey is the largest size of the poultry, right? When we deal with the quails, they are the smaller size. So we have breeds of medium-sized poultry that are primarily descendant of the wild red jungle fowl. And notice these terms here: Gallus. I'm not going to butcher this name here. Family of Phasianidae, order of Galliforms of India. Right? The chicken is perhaps the most widely, right? But let's deal with this here. Let's deal with the red jungle fowl. It says chickens primarily descended from the wild red jungle fowl, but we're still dealing with a type of kind, right? Look at that red jungle fowl. This also looks similar to what? A quail. But anyway, let's deal with the red jungle fowl, right? Any four Asian birds of the genus Gallus, right? Family of the Phasianidae or whatever. Gallus species differ from other members of the pheasant family. Notice it's still part of what? The pheasant family. The chicken is still part of what? The pheasant family. Gallus species differ from other members of the pheasant family and having in the male a fleshly comb, lobed wattles hang below the bill and high arched tail. The red jungle fowl is the ancestor of the domestic fowl, but we're still dealing with what? This of its kind, right? So the red jungle fowl are foragers. Notice this here. So I'm giving some information. Notice some of the key things about this particular bird. It says it vigorously scratches the forest floor, searching for food amongst ground matter and soil. As an omnivore, the red jungle fowl will eat many types of food it finds on the ground, from insects and worms to seeds, berries, and even small animals or reptiles, right? So yeah, they will eat meat, right? But feral chickens, this is interesting right here. Feral chickens, in other words, domestic chickens that have returned to the wild use similar omnivorous foraging tactics and will eat a similar diet if available. There are reports of feral chickens living among human populations, foraging on discarded human food. Notice what it says there. It says here, right? Notice what it says here, right? Chickens that's living among what? People. They'll start eating, right? They will start eating the food that is tossed out by what? People. But in their natural habitat, they won't eat those things. Let me say that again. In their natural habitat, they will not eat these things. They will not eat these things. See, like that chicken in that video that I shared, right? They were trying to forced the chicken. They caught a snake and had the chickens come over to eat the snake, right? Primarily the chickens don't eat meat, but they'll primarily eat, like, seeds and vegetation. They're foragers. So when did chicken arrive in Northeast Africa? Let's answer this question, right? This is coming from Jerusalem Post. Chicken first commercialized in Israel 2,300 years ago, researchers say. Chicken remains found from the Hellenistic period, from the 4th century BCE in Judea, or in the Judean lowlands. Sheds light on the beginnings of this economic revolution and shows the earliest evidence of the Western world large-scale industrial poultry raising, the university said in the statement. So we see that they were raising chickens, right? It goes on to say, and commerce created the right condition for change and the status of the rooster to generate income and served as food. Chickens were first raised in the Far East and Southeast Asia some 8,000 years ago, reaching the Middle East in small pockets 5,000 years ago. 5,000 years ago. So before the Messiah was even born, right, you had chicken in Israel. There is an ancient Israel city in the territory of Judah where Israel ate chicken. You know, we the people of the book, because we see that Israel used frying pans. We know Israel knew how to prep the meat, just like how Big Mama does, right? We all got our grandmothers that know how to prep that meat. When you read Leviticus, you see that Israel used a frying pan and cooked it well. So this is why that's why I'm walking you guys through this. Go back over this lesson and take the notes, so that way when you hear people bring up things about the chicken, turkey, you have information, credible information that you can give them to actually give them proper correction on it. So there is an ancient Israel city in the territory of Judah where Israel ate chicken. We the people of the book. We're the only group of people that chicken is attached to. We're the only people, right? That when you hear about chicken, who do they attach it to? Us. So Israel loved their chicken. 2 Chronicles chapter 14, verse 9 and 10. Let's highlight this city here, right? And there came out against them Zerah, the Ethiopian, with an host of 1,000 and 300,000 chariots, and came into Marishah, right? Right? Let's make a note of that. And Asa went out against him, and they set the battle in array in the valley of Zephathah at Maresh, or Mareshah, or Marashah. So after 10 years of peace, Judah was invaded by Zerah the Cushite. With Yah's help, Asa achieved a stunning victory over the invaders. So this victory occurred in Mareshah, right? So now that we established that, this ancient Israelite city of Judah is where people decided to eat chicken. They was getting their chicken on in this ancient Israelite city of Judah. Here's another source. The ancient city where people decided to eat chicken, an ancient abandoned city in Israel, has revealed part of the story of how the chicken turned into one of the pillars of the modern Western diet. The city, now an archaeological site called, what is it? Mareshah. It flourished in the Hellenistic period from 400 to 200 BCE. So before the Messiah was even born, they was getting their chicken on. Come on, family. Come on, we're the people of the book. Don't let anyone put any weights on you, try to make you feel guilty about eating something that the Most High said it's okay to eat. Now, the argument is, right, whether or not that chicken you're eating is good for you. How did they prepare that chicken? Did they fill it up with steroids and that type of? That's a different argument. And I agree, we should not be eating any chickens that have steroids and all these things in it. So when we buy our chicken, we go to the farm, right? You know, it's not filled with all these, different additives like Kentucky Fried Chicken and a lot of other places do to make the chicken grow like the breast to grow so heavy. But anyway, the surprising thing was not that chickens lived here. There's evidence that humans kept chickens around for thousands of years, starting in Southeast Asia and China. But those older sites contain just a few scattered chicken bones. People were raising those chickens for cockfighting, for special ceremonies. The birds apparently weren't considered much of a food. In Mauritius, though, something changed. The site contained more than 1,000 chicken bones. They were very, very well preserved. Wait a minute. They made sure they ate the meat off of those bones, right? Come on now, y'all. My grandmother, man, she would get on us if we eating chicken and we get ready to throw that chicken bone out. She would, wait a minute, you still got meat on that bone, and she'll take that thing and make it look like the museum done cleaned the bone, right? Anyway, y'all know what I'm talking about. So they saying they found the site contained more than 1,000 chicken bones. They were very, very well preserved, right? Perigal, this archaeologist, said they could see knife marks on them from butchering. There were twice as many bones from female birds as male birds, for the chickens apparently were being raised for meat, not for cockfighting. So did Judah break the law by eating chicken? Absolutely not. We don't see anything about that. They did not break the law for eating chicken, because it's still part of after the birds of the kind that the Most High allowed them to eat. Quail is still part of the same kind that your chicken comes from. Anyway, yeah. Chickens descended from Gallus family, for the Phasanidae order Galliforms. These are what they remember. This is what we covered earlier. These are the scientific terms for where the chicken descended from. Guess what? Notice this here, right? Notice the same thing. Quail classified into families, Phasanidae, and I'm not going to butcher this. Y'all get it. But also says which is the order Galliforms. So they still after their kind. Your chicken and quail. Guess what? You say we can't eat chicken, and we might as well say we can't eat quail. That's the same arguments for it. They're the same. They after its kind. So this means that the quail and the chicken are after their kind. Mayan, after their kind. Now notice this here. Comparison between the quail and the chicken. MHC class, right? This is coming from the Journal of Immunology. MHC class 1 and class 2 genes sequenced by phylogenetic or whatever, or phylogenetic, excuse me for butchering the word, analysis showed that they were more closely related within species than between species. So they're still after its kind. Remember, species, you have a number of species under the same kind, suggesting that the quail MHC genes were duplicated after the separation of these two species from their common ancestor. Remember, geographical landscapes, geographical locations, make a world of a difference how different species developed in terms of according to that setting. Like I said, when you look at the gorillas in the Congos of Africa, they're different from the gorillas in the Brazil. They have more hair. Just like when you look at chimpanzees, there's different kinds of chimpanzees. And depending on where the location at, you'll see them with more hair or less hair, depending on the surroundings. All right. So chicken within the scriptures, right? Chicken is inside the scriptures, y'all. Chicken is inside the scriptures. Chickens is inside the scripture, right? Let's see here. Matthew chapter 23, verse 37, right? Notice what we see here. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets and stonest them which are sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thy children together? Excuse me. So I hit the button accidentally. How often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings, and ye would not. So we know during the Messiah's time, chickens was all through Israel. I just proved that, right? Matthew chapter 26, verse 34. Yahushua, in other words, Jesus, the Christ, said unto him, verily I say unto thee, that this night before crow shall deny me thrice. So we see chickens among what? The Israelites. This is a rooster, right? There's no other birds that crow like this. Let me tell you this again. There's no roosters that crow like this. Now there you have certain I forgot the bird that they'll mimic that's in the United States, magpies, but they don't crow like the chicken. They'll imitate. If they hear a chicken, they'll try to imitate the chicken. You have parrots that try to imitate the chicken, but it's the rooster, right? The rooster, right? We see it right here. The rooster. It's other sources and other references, scriptural text that we can identify. But guess what? It's right here. We see chickens among the Israelites. It's not an unclean bird. Before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice. Before the rooster, because it's the rooster that crows. So before the roosters crow, guess what? It's saying you will deny me. So family, this is pretty much the end of the presentation. So is a chicken a bird of prey? Absolutely not. Is the chicken an unclean bird? Absolutely not. And there you have it, family. We just went through the entire lesson, right? We made it through in very good time, right? Very good time. So in a nutshell, I hope this helped you guys. I hope this blesses you guys. Don't let anyone try to make you feel guilty for doing the very thing that the Most High said it's okay to do. Chicken, turkey, and what's that? Quail, they're all part of the same kind. They're not listed under any other kind, but its kind. So it's okay to eat that. It's okay. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty. Don't start throwing out stuff out of your ice box or your refrigerator. Don't do that. You stay firm. And this is why we have to be careful of getting caught up in the itch and ear doctrine. So again, this is not to throw shots at anyone. This is teaching a lesson that I've been teaching for years internally. So because I've been getting so many emails and things showing up on my timeline, this is why we decided to do this. Amen. So I hope this helps you guys. I hope this gives you proper clarity so that way you understand exactly what is what. So with that being said, I'll drop the link inside the comment section. Especially I see my sister Ashonda. If you want to come and join in, feel free. Jay Highstyle and Sister Carol. I think I saw I'm not sure if my cousin's still here, Benea and Majors. I'm William Brown, Bishop Brown. I'm going to drop it inside the comment section. If you guys want to jump in, feel free to do so. So family, again, this is where we have to, truth be told, we have to stop majoring in the minors. Dr. Noel, if you want to jump in as well, feel free. I'll drop the link inside the channel, inside the comment section, and we'll if you guys want to add anything to it briefly, feel free to do so. But again, family, this is where we have to be careful. We have to be careful. This is why we have to make sure we study. We cannot take the same bad habits that we had when we was inside Christianity. In Christianity, so many of our ancestors did so much, right? Did so much. They were so dependent on the leaders, the pastors, to teach them. They did not go back and vet the information. They depended on the pastor to teach them correctly. So family, this is why I want to say to you guys, it's imperative. We live in an information age right now, and it's imperative for you to go back and study the word for yourself. Even with me, with all the stuff I shared, vet my information, vet what I just shared. right? Just vet it. Vet the information. Got my sister Shonda. Come on in. My sister here. Want to say peace and blessings to you. Appreciate you jumping on. Any thoughts you want to share tonight, sis?
Hey, sorry, I had to cut you off on the phone for a minute. Oh man, what a powerful, powerful lesson. I'm over here just having a fantastic time joking in the chat section. You know, I said I'm like Bubba Gump, you know, from Forrest Gump. And then one of my sisters like, don't forget the chicken pot pie now.
Oh, come on now, man. Shoot. That was like the go, like my grandmother go-to. You know, all else failed, she'd load up on some chicken pot pies and we ate that forever.
I'm telling you. You know, I was looking forward to this lesson because you know, I've been seeing a couple of things, you know, in the feeds about it. And I think the thing about it is that we have to be very careful to be led of the Ruach, especially in this day and time. We know that much of the food, period, whatever that's given for us to eat in these grocery stores has a, you know, it has a lot of chemicals in it. It's got a lot of toxins and poisons. This is one of the reasons why I believe that Yahushua, foreseeing what was going to happen in these days, made it clear that we're supposed to pray over our food, and we're supposed to, you know, ask the Father to bless our food, to sanctify it, to cleanse it through in our bodies, because we're aware, you know, that in this day and time, you know, the enemy is using food as a weapon against us, but the power of prayer can cleanse that food. And at the same time, we need to make wise choices. Now, I'm joking and I'm laughing and everything about, you know, the chicken and stuff, but, you know, really, we do need to make wise choices with the things that we put into our bodies, because our bodies are the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh. So I try to be very mindful of what I eat. My family gets so frustrated with me at times because I'm constantly on vegetables and, you know, and fruits and herbs and just eating well and exercising and, you know, using those things. There's some chickens right now. I don't know if you can hear them right now, but
yeah, I hear them. I was about to ask you.
The chicken was like, yo, y'all talking about me.
That's right.
But yeah, you know what I'm saying? We just, you know, we just gotta, you know, we have to be mindful, but we also don't need the condemnation. That's very, very important, is that we don't receive the condemnation. I mean, there's a whole group of people out here called breatharians. People think I'm joking with that, but they don't eat and they don't drink. And that's because I believe that there's so much fear surrounding food that they feel like they just have to survive off of their, you know, off their existing breath. I don't know how long they're gonna live off of that.
Wow, I was about to say, I don't know how they're gonna sustain me either. Wow, right. I never heard of that one.
Yeah, it's real. It's real. But I really appreciate the study. I mean, I always know you're going to come thorough. You're going to come with it. So I really enjoyed it. I appreciate it.
Well, definitely appreciate you, sis. And this is why I did the lesson, because again, you know, we as leaders, you know, it's so many different things that we're getting hit from different angles. And, you know, this lesson right here makes it easier, so that way you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can take whatever I shared and you can put your own, you know, your own spin on it, you know, in terms of how you present it, but at least it gives you something to start from, a starting point.
Excellent.
So, hey, how's it going, Jay Highstyle? And also got my cousin Benea. Go ahead, Jay Highstyle. We'll start with you, then we'll have my cousin Benea jump in.
Peace and blessing, Pastor, fam, Sister Shonda, Brother Benaya. It's good seeing y'all again. Let me tell you something, Pastor, with with this whole nonsense about not eating chicken. If I was a fool, I would be like not having pretty much anything to eat nowadays, because I don't eat pork. I'm not a seafood lover. You know, the list goes on for me. So chicken is one of those rare items that I do eat. So, you know, you got to be careful what you're listening to from these guys that say, you know, when they start talking about unclean foods, you got to do the research for yourself, even, because it's pure nonsense. You know, like Sister Shonda was saying, you know, it basically saying if you listen to them, basically you're not going to be eating anything, probably just air. It's just ridiculous how they come up with these assumptions. So just be careful when you listen to these people and
what you shouldn't be eating.
Absolutely, absolutely, and also our sister Shonda pointed out too that I can understand if the argument is about how the chicken is prepared. If the argument is about that, about certain when you go into the supermarket and making sure you're paying attention to how that chicken is prepared. Like for me and my wife, we go out to the farmers market and we go to the farms. We got a farm not too far from us, and we get our eggs from, we get our chicken from, they from the Amish community, so they don't play when it comes to dealing with GMOs and all those different things. So that's a different discussion versus stating that we're not supposed to eat what the Most High has already said is great for us. And so, in the other challenge, as Shonda pointed out, is the fact that we have to look at our community, look at the quality of the supermarkets that's in our community, right? And most people can't go to the West End or the other side of town to purchase their food, so they have to kind of depend on what's in their community. We know it's a lower grade, a lower quality of food. So that's why, as Sister Shonda pointed out, we got to make sure we have that relationship with the Most High through His Son, and we have to understand the importance of having the Holy Spirit. And just real quick, I see someone pointed out about the kosher. Look, if you pay attention, if you do the research, I did the research. The kosher, so-called kosher foods, are just as bad as what you see in the regular supermarkets. So
and the thing is, how can you even really tell how the livestock is being prepared, and bred? There's no real way of telling that, thanks to this world, So I'm not sure how you would go about even doing that.
Absolutely. Benaya, did you want to share something?
Hey, peace and blessings, fam. It's funny because you think back to when you saw that news break with the chicken fight at Popeye's Chicken. What you got somebody? What did he do? Because he tried to climb through the window or something like that.
Yeah.
You got black folks fighting over chicken sandwiches. I gotta say it like this: sandwiches.
Wow.
They fighting over sandwiches. That's something spiritual. It's something spiritual about that. But yeah, seriously, fam. It's also funny because when you was talking about your family cleaning those bones. I know we talked about it offline, but my dad, it's a spectacle to see my dad eat chicken. I mean, he will clean a chicken bone like nobody's business.
Hold on, but does he get to the grit in the bone?
Oh, he will take all of that off like as if there was a machine that was buffing the bones like Cuz Kelly said it. Like, he would tear that thing up, and he would look at my chicken and be like, son, what you doing, son? What you doing? You can't eat on that thing. Like, Dad, this is hard stuff. I can't chew it.
Man, my grandmother used to stand by the garbage can, right? Oh, and if you went to throw it out, she'd stop you.
Come on,
and she'll say, hey, you got meat on that. And she'll grab one of them. And she did it so quick. And I mean, that thing was like spotless. I mean, it's bright white. You know what I mean?
Wow.
After she finishes, and then she tell us to go back and sit down and get more of the meat off of it. So we sit there for hours trying to figure out how to do what she did.
Yeah. I actually, being the good son, you know what I'm saying? I tried to mimic what my dad did, and I just got a bunch of hard stuff that I couldn't swallow. So I had to put it down. But yeah, just a quick comment though, because I know, like, just from a historical perspective, and I appreciate you guys for bringing up those articles, because a lot of some of the articles I wasn't aware of. I was aware of of course, doing like the research on Portugal and Spain and stuff like that. I was aware that the brews coming out of Spain and Portugal, that they were known for chicken. Like I remember, I think I did like a Facebook post maybe like 2 or 3 months back, where people were talking about how bad their neighborhoods were. It's like their neighborhoods were so bad, it was so nasty because there was all these chicken feathers all over the place. I mean, our people were consuming chicken, to that extent, right? So there is that. I mean, there is historical evidence that points to we as the people of Israel consuming chicken on a great scale, not a small scale, but a great scale. Chicken and fish, by the way. Fish was the other dish that we consumed. Not just regular fish, but fried fish, fam. Fried fish. So.
Oh, this person's crazy. Look at what this person pointed out. He said, I used to say that the chicken sacrifice is life for me. At least I can now show my appreciation. Clean the bone.
Clean the bone.
So, but as we get ready to wrap up, though, family, guys, is there some last thing that you want to share with those that are listening? Because for me, it's just encouraging the people to do their due diligence, vet the information that's being presented. Don't just get caught up on, our channels here. Hold me accountable. Go back over the stuff that I share to make sure that I'm not teaching something that's off. Don't just get so caught up because of me teaching this, and even just how clean the presentation looked. Oh man, that got to be real, because Fox News is very good with how they make the stuff look how it appears, but they're giving a lot of junk information. I'm not just going to say Fox News, but we see that happening with MSNBC and some of these other channels. They mastered the art of presenting information. So just because it looks good doesn't necessarily mean that it's right. So vet the information, vet this information that I just shared tonight.
Yeah, I'd like to say, listen, if you feel a way about eating chicken, if you listen to other people and you feel a way about eating chicken, and you don't want to eat the chicken, listen, no condemnation. Don't eat the chicken. You don't have to feel obligated to eat chicken or not to eat chicken, because when we look at the scriptures in the New Testament, particularly, it talks about people who have a outlook on meat altogether, and that some of them are vegetarians, and we shouldn't condemn them because they're vegetarians, and they shouldn't condemn us because we eat meat. So this to me is like one of those, really one of those areas where it's really about how you personally choose to consume what's already available for you to consume. So if you don't want to consume it, don't. No condemnation. But for those of us who do want to eat some chicken, watch out.
I know. Keep your distance. Elbow room.
That's right.
Elbow room. Because you may see me do the chicken wing as I meet mama.
I had some really good hot wings the other day. I ain't gonna lie. And they didn't even have the blue cheese. No, they ain't had the ranch dressing.
Uh-oh.
I ate it with the blue cheese, and it was still the bomb.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I had a little twitch on that one, sister.
So what do you say, Benea? What something that you want to share with the people, and then we'll do our bucket list. Anything or any people, anything that you want to just throw into the bucket, we'll close out with that. But Benea, any advice you want to give to the people?
No, I think Sister Shonda knocked it out the park. I mean, I'm of the same mind. No condemnation for sure. I didn't, to be 100% transparent. I didn't realize it was a thing. Like I didn't realize that that even the thought that there was a thought out there that it was unclean. I didn't know, and so this is new for me. So I'm learning, just as many of you as you are. So so good presentation, good info.
I appreciate it. Dr. J, anything you want to share?
Yeah, Sister Shonda was talking about that chicken. Yeah, I eat some chicken that is slamming, let me tell you. But other than that, I believe you said that turkey is also considered to be poultry as well. And look, I can throw down on some turkey too. In particular, I don't know if you guys ever had this, but fried turkey wings.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, you gotta try some of that.
Oh man, go ahead, Sister Shonda.
No, I'm saying at the amusement park, they used to sell the turkey legs.
Turkey legs.
Yes.
That's the turkey legs, but I'm talking about actual fried turkey wings.
Oh, trust me, my
That's
wife hooked
big
it up
down
for
here in
me.
the South.
She hooked it up for me.
Yeah, it's good. It's some good stuff. Let me tell you, you need to try it for sure. It's really good.
Like some Fred Flintstone stuff, some big brontosaurus.
Right. There you go. Yeah, you know.
Yeah. My wife
good,
hooks it up for me from time to time. But yeah. So family, we're going to do our bucket list. So anything, and for me, I'll start it off, and whoever you guys or whatever, whether it's doctrine, whatever you want to put up inside that garbage can, just put it out there, and we'll share the animation of what we're going to throw inside the bucket list. Now, for me, I want to throw inside the bucket list. Now that Benea brought it up, I want to throw Popeyes in the bucket list from, displaying our people like that, preying on our people like that, making us look crazy, like we just so obsessed with that chicken, that selectively supply and demand on the chicken, and got us focusing on a chicken shortage at Popeyes versus the water shortage inside our community, because a lot of that happened in Newark, New Jersey, and I felt some kind of way about Popeyes. So, I'm going to put Popeyes inside the garbage can. So any one of you guys, actually, Sister Shonda, did you want to throw anyone or anything inside this bucket, this garbage can?
I don't know. I mean, somebody threw me inside the bucket. Chris Selly, I'm throwing Shonda in the bucket list for not sharing the chicken with us. Look, fam, you know what? If I tell you something, you really gonna throw me in the bucket. My husband is a whole chef.
Oh man.
So we get down on that chicken, right?
What's that from Boomerang? From the Rudy to the Tootie.
That's right. Well, I love you, fam. I appreciate you, Chris.
Well, we just give a bucket list for you not even having a bucket. Here we go. All right, Dr. J.
Yeah, for sure, Popeyes. I think we were the main ones fighting over those chicken sandwiches when they first came out.
Yeah, they made us look bad, man. We look bad on that.
But there is another monopoly standing in the background, KFC as well. Let's throw them in the bucket too.
I hope and pray that our people stop eating at those places, because they do all kinds of things. And 20 years ago it came out how they shoot their chicken up with steroids and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Right. Absolutely.
So I stay clear from all of that fast food stuff anyway. But we're gonna add KFC inside there. Here we go. All right, you want to clock cuz Benea?
Yeah, this may come out of left field, but because both me and you, we're in IT. We kind of every now and then we'll work with we'll get some new folks that come through every now and then. And I guess my bucket, who I like to throw in the bucket would be those folks that come through that just don't listen. You know what I mean? You go over everything. You tell them, all right. So let's take history for example. Like, so with history, we told folks, read the old stuff, don't read the new stuff. But then somebody come up, I debunked you, and they show up like a bunch of new stuff. That goes in the trash can.
Oh, matter of fact, let me show this animation for that, and then we'll put the bucket. Is that accurate, cuz?
Yes, that's about accurate, cuz.
Every time you do a teaching, it's always one, especially if you go to someone's assembly, man, it's always somebody that's behaving as if you just didn't teach anything. Right. You know what I mean? And hey, you need to know this. You need to know. It's like, okay, who is this person that's speaking to me as if I needed their advice?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Now, I'm okay with folks learning and stuff like that. I don't mind being a mentor or whatever. But my thing is when you're loud and wrong.
Exactly.
When you're loud and wrong, when we're in the meeting, right? And you're the new buck, and you're loud and you're passionate about something, and it's all wrong. and then we got to go and clean that stuff up. That goes into the bucket.
Brother Benet, you gotta say strong and wrong.
Strong and wrong.
Strong. Man, that's a pet peeve of mine as well. It's like, especially, don't post something, man. You always have people like that. It's like, man, come on now. Even in meetings at work, I know exactly what you mean. Matter of fact, in our assembly, we had someone show up to our assembly. I ain't gonna mention what group they came from. And after service, they gave me a whole binder of stuff. And I had that same look. I'm like, who is this person that's speaking to me as if I needed their advice? Who is this person? And needless to say, I asked a few questions, me being me. And, the person couldn't even tell me what was inside the binder. So needless to say, I did a return to sender. So we're going to throw that in. We're going to put those guys inside the bucket right now, the garbage can. Well, we're going to get ready to wrap it up here. Appreciate you guys for taking time out to watch the lesson and the inputs that you guys shared. And be on the lookout. We got some special projects coming out. And again, Sister Shonda, can you just fill us in with the prayer, and then we'll wrap up with that. Let that be our final words for tonight.
Yes, thank you so much, Pastor Kelly. It was an honor, as always, to be here to fellowship with the brethren and the sisterin. And we are going to be having our 714 movement prayer and fasting. Again, it's going to be on the 14th, January 14th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm so excited about the leaders that are going to be joining us. It's always good to have leadership come in and pray, because oftentimes there's a lot of teaching that has to go on. There's a lot of correction that has to go on. But it's important that people understand that we also have a strong prayer life. So I'm excited about this. So please join us on my channel on January 14th. If you're not already subscribed, then you can do so at 9 p.m. And one of the people that are going to be there, of course, is none other than Pastor Kelly himself. So I'm looking forward to having him there. And peace and blessings, fam. Thank y'all. So good to see you, brothers, Benea, Israel, and Jay Highstyle. So good to see you. So peace and blessings.
And guys, if you haven't subscribed to Benea's channel, Benea, real quick, tell them about your channel. I'm still trying to come upstairs to his basement. So, just go ahead and tell the people about your channel.
Please. I mean, my cousin was talking about, he mentioned that he was, there's some projects coming out, and we're working on some projects with, and let me tell you, he is very skilled when it comes to putting like presentations together and videography and production. You'll see what I'm talking about, and then we'll talk about it when it comes out. We'll talk about it. But yeah, most I will. If you all get a chance, just check out the Benai Israel channel. On there, you'll see some lessons on history and proof, 100 proof information as far as us being children of Israel and more. There's more information on there, so just check it out whenever you get a chance.
Appreciate it. Jay, do you have any social media site or anything like that, or you just kind of landed the cut?
Pastor. Yeah, you know me. I just lay back and listen and give my input every now and then. I do know some things, but I pretty much stay behind the scenes.
Well, family, appreciate you guys for taking time out your schedule. Appreciate you guys being on the panel here. And in the words of Moses, as he had to encourage Israel as they came out of Egypt and they was facing the obstacles in front of them, Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 and 14. Moses had to encourage the people, and it's prevalent to the time that we live in right now as we're anticipating the Most High to avenge us, to take us out of this captivity. So he had to say to Israel, fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today, you will never have to deal with them again. They will never have power over you ever again. The Most High will fight for you. But here's the kicker. You have to hold your peace. Family, we have to learn how to hold our peace. And in that text, the Hebrew word is karash, which means to be quiet. right? We have to learn how to be quiet and let the Most High do exactly what he's going to do and how he's going to do it. So again, can't go back, can't stay here, keep moving forward. Shalom to some, shalom to others, and salama to others as well. So peace, appreciate you, family. And panel, have a great night. I'm going to jump off of here and get me some sleep. Very busy day. So blessings to all you, family.
Peace and blessings, family.